This is the video that I have been waiting for the last 2 years. This is the intro to my spoilery goodies-filled vlog for House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. This is Crescent City 3. I don't have to tell you that. This is one of my most anticipated releases of the year, most people's most anticipated release of the year, and the very first clip that I did was just me squealing because it was day of release and I needed to go pick up this book. So I thought that I would come to you guys and give you a bit better of an introduction, a little bit more put together, cohesive, what to expect in this vlog kind of situation. This is going to be a spoilery filled vlog, so if you've not read House of Flame and Shadow yet, click away. I will be bringing you guys a video that does have my non-spoilery thoughts for House of Flame and Shadow. It will be a little further down the line because it's going to be in a different video, one that I have to wait on a couple of other books to come out for, but it will be coming. This is just all of my unfiltered thoughts, all of my rants, my raves, my screaming, my complaints, my loves, my fears, all of the things, my predictions, everything that I was thinking while reading this book, I'm about to give to you guys in this vlog. So I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that you are able to squeal and scream and throw up with me while we read House of Flame and Shadow. Okay, so I am now through the prologue and the first chapter of House of Flame and Shadow. I feel like I'm going to end up saying Crescent City a lot in this because House of Flame and Shadow is just a very long title. But we have gone through the initial, like, where Hunt and Rune are now, what's kind of going on with the Hind, and that part was just, my baby Hunt, bless him, he had to go through the thing again, and it's just, once was enough. Anyway, moving on. We've just gotten to the point where obviously Bryce is not in Midgard anymore, and she has been greeted by Amarin, Asriel, and Rhysand, and I am one of those people that am not really sure that I love the multiverse thing. Like, I don't mind it being multiverse, but I'm not one of those people that is just a huge fan of having to read separate series, and I am also, this is gonna sound really ridiculous. You know, like in the Marvel DC, where sometimes in the CW shows they would have crossovers between like the Flash and Green Arrow. I don't like the crossover episodes. I like seeing my characters in the world, in the area of what they're doing. I don't like there being too many big names on page at one time fighting for attention. I think that that's mainly what it is. So I'm not sure if I'm going to love the fact that this is a crossover episode, for lack of a better way to put it. But I'm willing to reserve judgment on that until we kind of see how all of this is going to play out, because I do think it's a really cool idea, and I can absolutely see how she has been plotting this from the beginning. So I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but it's not my favorite. With that being said, we are doing a lot of info dumping right now, and I don't mind info dumping. It's a lot of like recap on what we already know, but one of my biggest pet peeves ever is when we info dump in dialogue. And while I understand that like she's just come upon this world, they want to know why she's here, they're trying to get information out of her, she's just readily giving them all of this information. And again, I know she needs things from them, I understand that, but I'm just like, it just doesn't feel like it would be this in-depth talking, and it feels lazy to me. I always complain about this in books. I don't like it when all of my world building and info dumping is done in dialogue. It's a pet peeve of mine. However, I don't recall this being something that Sarah J. Maas does on a regular basis, so I'm hoping it's just kind of this one chapter to remind us of what we're kind of dealing with, to remind us where all of these characters came from, and how these worlds are overlapping. So I understand why she's doing it and why she's doing it in this way. It's to get it on the page quickly so that you can continue to move on with the plot, but it's just a little irksome. Other than that, I don't really have a lot of thoughts right now. This is going to be a very rambly vlog, so I hope you guys are ready. I'm going to read a little bit more tonight. I don't know how much more updates I will give you guys. I am just here ready to read, ready to have a good time, but I'm also terrified. Okay, so here is the thing. How the heck is Lydia just standing there while Rune is ripped to pieces? Like, I know she's got this persona of being the Hind and all of that jazz. Like, I get it. She's got the double agent thing going on. But, like, how do you just stand there with cold, dead eyes and not be a little cold and dead inside? I'm determined to believe that she's got, like, some redeeming qualities. Obviously, she does. She's Daybreak, so we know she does. But, like, this moment, like, how? Sorry if you can hear Ollie snoring in the background. Apparently this book is not as entertaining for him as it is for me. But we have just gotten to a point where Bryce is trying to get out of the wall of night that Rhysand has put her in, which just feels very classic Rhysand to me. And she has come upon these like snake-like things, which sound absolutely terrifying. I don't like snakes. I wouldn't say that I'm petrified of snakes, but I don't like snakes. And it says that she's trying to like gather her courage. She's trying to channel Danica, channel their friendship. And there's a line that says, might have felt something like a crown settle upon her head, guiding her into the dark. And I just wonder, like, is that foreshadowing? Is Bryce going to become some kind of queen at some point? Is she going to become queen of the Fae? Like, what's going to happen? I don't know. That just felt like a moment, like something that was just slid in there that had some importance. So we'll see. I don't know that we'll find out if that's important in this book. I don't know if it's important at all, but like, it sounded important. Okay, so I'm at the part where Nesta and Bryce are in the caves together. These two, like, I need them to just go out for drinks because they have such I hate the world energy. Like, Nesta obviously is the biggest bitch and we love her for it. And then Bryce is just a sarcastic, everything that comes out of her mouth is a snipe. I just feel like these two would get along amazingly with some tequila. Like, I need them. I need a scene where they like just go out for drinks in the night court because I feel like that would be incredible. Okay, so 150 pages in, and I'm still having a really good time with this. I will say that I don't think the pacing is slow, but it is slower than I expected it to be. Like, I figured we would start with a super big bang. I'm not minding the slowness, though. I do think that a little bit of setup and kind of reacclimating ourselves to the world and to the characters is a good thing, especially considering, again, you're throwing some really heavy hitters all in there together. I do think the scenes with Hunt are just like, they break my heart. Like, I knew that it was gonna go this way, but like, okay. Bryce's scenes, though, I'm having a great time with. Her and Nesta together is just chef's kiss, especially when Azriel gets in there and starts his like broodiness too. I didn't think that I would really love all of those characters together, but I think Nesta and Azriel are a good like matchup for Bryce. I don't necessarily love when Rhysand is there, although I love my baby Rhysand. I just don't know about all of them together. That's a lot of personality in one room. So far, though, I think that I'm looking for things just to pick up a little bit in pacing. I know that everybody is separated, and so we're getting a lot of point of view switches. We're switching from Bryce occasionally to Hunt, to Lydia, back to Therian, back to Ethan, and it's just a lot of moving around. And I think that eventually that's going to get old. So I hope that we all get a little bit more back together. At least some of our characters get back together and we start to see more of the implications and the maneuvering behind the plans that they're making now. So I'm excited to continue reading this. I unfortunately have to go be an adult and wash my hair, which I feel like is just completely rude. I cannot believe that I have to stop reading this book to go do adult things and then go to bed because I still have to go to work. Next time, remind me, I think I said this last year, but next time remind me that when a massive release comes out like this, I need a day or two off just so that I can read and enjoy and just take it all in. But anyway, I will be definitely reading more of this tomorrow the second I get a chance, but for now, it's going really well. Okay, so my camera battery is dead and I just haven't gotten up to go get it yet. So we're going to do a phone clip for this one. But two things that I just really liked. One, Nesta and Azriel and Bryce are down in the caverns and they're talking about the 8-pointed star. And Nesta mentions how she had an 8-pointed star as well. And Bryce is like, obviously this means that we were meant to be best friends, which like, yes, they were. But then I really like this point of like character development when Bryce unleashes the Midgardian worm on them. Rude, first of all. But she basically gets to a point where she's like, what am I? I'm not like the Fae. I'm not as cruel and as heartless as they are. Realizes, yeah, that was probably a cruel and heartless thing to do, and goes back to save them. I just feel like that was a really important character moment, something that I'm glad that we get to see, that Bryce does think about those things and she's not just doing things for the sake of her people or for the sake of saving herself. Like, she actually still stays true to herself, and I really liked that. So anyway, I'll go find my camera battery here in just a few minutes, but I wanted to share that with you guys. All right, so I'm about 200 pages in, and while I find the star and the caves and all of that stuff super interesting with Bryce and Nesta and Azrael right now, which Azrael and Nesta, two of my favorite characters in the Mass universe, so I'm loving spending a little bit of time with them. However, I feel like this adventure is just dragging on a little bit too long. We're 200 pages into the book, and that's really all Bryce has been doing throughout the majority of the 200 pages. And so I'm just like, okay, these things are cool, but we're dragging a little bit. So the pacing for me at this point needs to speed up just a tad. And I think that's just, it's an 800-page book. So there is a lot of overdoing some of these scenes a little bit. So I'm just like, I want us to get to the point where we like know what's going on, know what this whole 8-pointed star is. And I think we're getting close, and I'm super excited to find out what that is. I just wish that we'd gotten there a teensy tiny bit quicker, because right now I'm like not bored, but just ready to hurry up. So I'm a little bit further in, and we have finally got to kind of the crux, the point of Bryce and what the star was trying to get her to find. And basically she gets the history of how the Daglin, or the Asteri, kind of ruled over the High Fae and how they were eventually defeated. Kind of gets to the beginning of that story. I think we're going to get a lot of lore and a lot more about the multiverse. I am really wanting to learn more about that. I know that we keep hearing about Thea, like she gets mentioned a ton, but I don't really understand who she is. And so I'm hoping that we get to find out a little bit more of that, because I'm just like, okay, I get it. Thea was awesome. Thea was all powerful, but who was she? And I feel like that's going to be a big reveal when we get there. I don't know what I'm predicting, who I'm predicting Thea to be. Obviously somebody in Bryce's line, but like, who is Thea? Because that's going to be important. Mark my words, that is going to be important. Ooh, shit. The Viper Queen is ruthless. Like, I honestly love her. I think she's one of the most underrated characters, because her, like, political maneuvering in the slums is just incredible. And I definitely had a no shit moment when she said that, because I don't think Ethan's going to be able to do it. I think that he's going to roll over like a puppy dog, but I don't know. We'll see. We're going to see. We're going to see. Okay, I have more thoughts. Like, literally, I'm only on page 208, but there have been a lot of thoughts in these last 10 or 15 pages. This whole info dumping thing of the history and how all of this came to be, I don't know that I love it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to articulate my thoughts, but you guys know that I don't love just dialogue, somebody talking at another person and giving them this whole history, and all of the information that they ever could have needed is just right there. Like, her star led them to it. It was right there all along. I just want it to be a little bit more interesting than that. I want them to dig for the information a little bit more. Maybe she gave them part of the information, but then the imagery of her sputtered out and they had to figure out the rest. I don't know, but just this whole talking at them thing, I'm a little bit bored by it. I don't love it. I don't love it. I want to love it, but I don't love it. So, not that the information that we're getting I don't love, I just don't like the delivery, but everybody knows that that's not my favorite version of delivery. So that is not a new revelation. I didn't think he would do it. Like, I know it was an accident, but shit, I didn't think he would do it. Ethan just killed Sigrid. I'm shooketh. I can't, like, I'm holding the book open with one hand and I'm holding you with the other hand, but I don't know what to do with myself. I'm shooketh. I didn't think she would kill Sigrid. Like, I really didn't. I guess this makes sense because maybe Ethan's supposed to become the alpha, but like, he's not a Fendir heir. Wait, that Viper Queen is a bitch. Ugh, poor Lydia. Like, she is literally going to burn herself to make that look like an accident. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Hind is ruthless. Everything that she has had to do in order to make this all believable, like, honestly, she has been through the ringer and been tortured for years. I really hope that Rune can find a way to forgive her. Okay, so I think I'm going to be stopping here for the night. I'm about 250 pages in, and I really wanted to be reading this a lot faster, but things this week have just not been mental mel friendly, I guess. Like, my brain capacity has just been not as great as I want it to be, so I don't want to be reading this when I'm tired. So I think I'm gonna put it down for now, but I just wanted to show you guys. You see the green? I don't know if you can see it, but do you see the green tabs? Those are all oh shit moments. There are so many oh shit moments in this book so far. What the heck? I am having a little bit of issues with the pacing of it. I do think that it is moving and kind of being drawn out just a little bit too much for my liking. However, there have been some really like, oh my gosh moments. I will say, I'm not really getting to use the like Hunt Bryce tabs just a ton. And I'm definitely not getting to use like the moments, the screaming, crying, throwing up, because there just hasn't been a lot of romance. Like, there hasn't been any romance in this so far. It's definitely all fantasy and all like world building and setup and lore so far, which I like, but I do miss a little bit of the friendships and the found family and the sweet moments. I feel like the first book did that really, really well, where there was a pretty good balance of both, and then the second book was a little bit slower. We were establishing the relationship and other characters, and so we did have a lot of like Hunt and Bryce moments, and then in this one it is so much lore. She's trying to really hammer home that multiverse and how that works and how it comes into being. I'm 100% sure that the Throne of Glass is in this, and I think at one point it talks about the Asteri coming from 3 different worlds or conquering 3 different worlds, and I'm very sure that the third world is the Throne of Glass world. So she's spending so much time like setting up this story that we're not getting a lot of interaction with the characters, and I knew that they would be separated. I knew that they would be separated for a pretty good time in this, so I'm not really surprised by that, but like, I want my babies to get back together again. I want them to reunite. I want to just see them have a little bitty bit of happiness, because right now there is none. Nobody's happy. Everyone is sad, everyone is dying, everyone is injured and in pain and being tortured, and it's terrible. But I think it's gonna be a while yet before anybody gets any happiness, which is so sad. But I will say that like Sarah J Maas does trauma really, really well. That was one of the things that I loved so much about A Court of Mist and Fury, is how well she handled the mental health aspects of it. So I'm expecting that to be the case in this book as well. I don't foresee them coming out of this unscathed mentally, and I feel like she's really going to dive into that. But I want them to have each other to go through that. I want them to be with each other and comfort each other, and I think that we have a long way to go before that ends up being the case. So I'm just going to have to suffer along with them for a little bit longer. But like, just give them a break. Give them a break for like 20 pages. Just let them have some happiness, please. I just got to part 2, and I'm having some mixed feelings so far. I really, really love our characters. I love this world. I love this magic system. I like the interactions, but I am struggling a little bit with the pacing. I feel like it's been kind of slow so far. I feel like we're doing a lot of the same stuff and having a lot of conveniences, which is a little frustrating. They just killed Vesperus, and honestly, it just seemed not easy, but a little anticlimactic considering how hard these Asteri are supposed to be to kill. Instantly after Bryce has got all of the information that she needed, all of this info dumping, she suddenly has exactly what she needs to open another portal and jump to another world. That part I feel like is happening too fast. Other things feel like they're too drawn out, so I am struggling some with the pacing of this. I think that it's just a matter of trying to get in all of the information, but Bryce's point of view is the one I'm having the problem with. The other points of view I'm good with. I feel like we are getting to learn things about the character. The plot is moving forward, but Bryce's point of view just feels like it's there to serve an info dumping purpose and to expand this universe and to give you a multiverse, but not actually doing anything for the Crescent City plot. That's a little bit what I was worried about with the multiverse, is I still wanted Crescent City to be able to stand on its own. And right now, her point of view feels very reliant on the multiverse. So I'm excited to see what part 2 leads into. Hopefully this beginning was just kind of the setup, the learning about everything, the finally giving you all of the explanation into the multiverse, and now we're going to get into the hardcore plot of Crescent City. That's what I'm hoping for, but yeah, that I am having a little bit of a hard time with. I still am really enjoying it. I just have a few nitpicks. Okay, but like, why isn't the Autumn King turning her over to Rigelus? I just feel like there's some ulterior motives there. I want to know what his end game is, because I don't think it's helping the Asteri, but it's certainly not looking out for his children. Literally, Bryce was like, Rune is your son. Why are you letting him be tortured? And the Autumn King goes, I can have more. Asshole! Like, what the heck? What the heck is wrong with him? I hope he dies a painful death. Can I dare to hope that they actually escaped successfully? I'm not sure that I can trust Sarah J. Maas to let them have this bitty bit of happiness, but I'm hopeful. They have wings again. They're out. They can see the sunlight, so that's got to at least be some kind of win. I take back every mean thing I ever said about Lydia, because holy crap, she deserves a Nobel Prize, all the awards. She is just like sacrificing the things. She is doing the things, making the plans, making stuff happen. She is, yeah. So this moment of them escaping and her basically being like, you take Rune, I am going to head them off and I'm the bigger prize, knowing that it's probably going to get her killed, and Rune still acts like he doesn't give a crap. I'm like, dude, she is sacrificing her life for you. What bigger apology could you possibly want? It does seem like he's slowly starting to come to the realization that she may die, but I'm like, it should not take you that long to actually care about the woman you love. Please, thank you. Okay, yeah, going back to reading now. Wait, wait, no. I can't handle these last, like, part two. Part 2 can suck it. What just happened? No. This line, I refuse. I refuse to believe that this line exists. I refuse. Lydia's not dead, right? Right? No, Theria's going to save her. She got over the cliff, like, no. Nope, I refuse to believe it. I'm living in denial. I am going to keep reading, but, like, other people are not dead that we thought are dead. So that means Lydia's not dead. Yeah, that's what I'm believing. That's what I'm believing. Sorry, you're not getting any fancy angle changes because I've been sitting in the same spot for like 3 hours. I'm currently on sprints, but I knew it. I'm happy to report Lydia's still alive. I mean, she's kind of alive. She's a little broken, but she's still alive, which is good enough for me because hopefully that means that she'll stay alive. Again, we talked about this whole happiness thing. They need a little happiness and they've escaped. So please tell me she's not going to ruin that by Lydia dying. Wait. I'm going to need some more explanation because Lydia just jumps out of bed and declares that she has sons? From who? What? When? Where? How? Please tell me not Pollux. I'm assuming it has to be Pollux and she sent them there for like safekeeping, but how the heck is this going to affect their relationship, and how did nobody know about this? Okay, so this is the second mention of Bryce being a queen. It says, 2 queens facing off, and there was no doubt in his mind that Bryce was a queen now. The poise, the strength radiating from her. She didn't need a crown to rule this room. So this is the second time that we've had mention of Bryce being a queen, wearing a crown or not wearing a crown. So I feel like that's coming at some point where she will be an official queen. I would be shocked if this is not foreshadowing. Oof, Lydia is telling Rune off right now, and honestly, he deserves it. Like, he wants to talk to her now that he knows all of these things about her kids and everything else. she needs to honestly tell him off, because he was kind of an asshole despite knowing who she was and what she had done. He also knew the other side of that, like what she had done for good, and refused to listen to her at all. I get it was crap. I get he was in a crappy situation, but like he doesn't deserve to just waltz in and get all of the answers. So I'm on Team Lydia here. Have all of the pups in here with me this morning reading House of Flame and Shadow, but we just got to a part where they're about to go into the midst of Avalon, and Hunt and Bryce are finally back together, which I love. I feel like they're not having a ton of moments together, but there hasn't really been a break in the plot allowing them to have a lot of moments together, so I'm just hoping that that comes soon. I do feel like they kind of jumped back into the we want to get in each other's pants thing a little bit quickly, but then that didn't happen and things kind of slowed down, and I'm hoping that they'll have a conversation. But he says something and Bryce is like, alpha hole, and honestly that's just so reminiscent of the first book in the series. I love it so much. So I really hope that Therian does not get himself killed by disobeying the Ocean Queen. I feel like there's no way that he could get himself killed. I feel like he has to survive unscathed, because I'm assuming that the next book in the series is going to follow him and be like the ocean. I forget what that house is called. I could look it up, but like I don't really have my hands right now. I just wish that there were a little bit more stakes, because I know that Sarah J. Maas is not really going to kill off anybody that we love. She just proved that with Lydia. But at the same time, I mean, she did kill Danica, so I guess maybe they're not all safe. I'm assuming that his book is going to be next, so I think that he's safe, but he really does need to stop pissing off queens, or it's going to be kind of touch and go. So, first of all, Mordok is a chauvinistic, misogynistic asshole. Females should only speak when spoken to. Their only right in this world is to breed and to marry. Like, I would die. I would die in this world within 2 seconds, because I don't know how to keep my mouth shut. But I love that Bryce is really standing up to him, and she's like, well, I'm gonna talk to you, and if you don't like it, whoop-ow, here's some starlight, and if that doesn't work, whoop-ow, here is the dagger and the sword. I am entering Avalon, and I am like, yes, girl power moment. I am here for it. I am loving it. Yes, we have a screaming, crying, throwing up tab going there, because that is just yep, that's amazing. I feel like I have nothing to say for pages and pages and pages, and then all of a sudden, like, the 10 pages, there's just so much to say. But literally, like, Sathia, is that how you say her name, didn't really remember that Flynn had a sister. Like, I know that he did, but it just didn't really register, and she seems not the nicest person. But what is Therian doing saying that he will marry her? He is already in a heap of trouble with the River Queen, heap of trouble with the Ocean Queen, heap of trouble with the Viper Queen, and now he's gonna go marry Flynn's sister? Like, what is he doing? I'm curious to see how that's gonna play out, because I don't really understand, other than getting her out of the situation, what purpose that's gonna hold. So I'm curious to see how that plays out, but like, I swear, Therian is one screw a little loose. And within like 5 paragraphs, we then switch over to Hypaxia. Yes, that Hypaxia and Jessica. We switch back over, and they are trying to raise Sigrid, and Hypaxia raises her as a Reaper. I was pretty convinced that she couldn't come back fully like a Fendir heir, because there's got to be something for Ethan in all of that. He's just acting a little too shady about it, and I know that he's not a Fendir, but there's something going on there, and I don't know exactly what it is yet, but we will find out. Bringing her back as a Reaper, Hypaxia is supposed to be this like loving and caring and soft-hearted individual, so I'm assuming when she went and gave her vows to the House of Flame and Shadow, that was like one of the caveats, because that's something she had to do right after she agreed to raise Sigrid before she actually did. But why? And why would she agree to it when she's gone out of her way not to cause trouble in the past? I don't know. I'm curious as to how this is going to work, but that is not good. Okay, so I feel better about the Hypaxia situation now because we've just learned that Sigrid was given two doors. Hypaxia told her to go one way and Sigrid went the other, and the like Underking was standing there trying to get her to come to be a Reaper because he wanted her soul. So this makes a lot more sense to me. This just it tracks. Like I was not expecting Hypaxia to turn on them, and so I feel a little bit better that she didn't do that because I was like, man, I don't think I'm that bad of a judge of character. Okay, so I do feel like we need to talk about the fact that Bryce and Hunt are back together again and kind of what the implications and interactions between them have been so far, because I feel like Sarah J. Maas usually does that really, really well, where she doesn't just throw the characters back in, they're back together, everybody's happy, happy, joy, joy, everything's fine. I feel like she does a really good job of kind of reminding you that something bad really happened, things went to shit, and there are going to be consequences from that. And so far, I think she's doing a pretty good job of that. Bryce and Hunt haven't really had a lot of moments together so far. They haven't had a lot of moments where they are able to just sit down and talk. The one moment that they did have, they had a conversation and it did not particularly go well, where Hunt was basically like, I feel guilty. I feel like this is all my fault. And Bryce is basically like, nope, you are putting too much importance on yourself. I wanted to do this. We should have done this. We always should have done this. And he's like, but should we have? And I feel like that was a really important conversation for them to have, whether this was the right thing to do, whether they should have gone on this huge rebellious journey. And the conversation did get cut short, so we only got a brief little bit of it, but I feel like it's going to keep coming up. And so far it kind of has. You see where Bryce has got this self-importance, which that's always kind of been her personality, where she's kind of a bull forward ahead, don't really think about the consequences, just get her done kind of individual. And she doesn't really understand why Hunt feels like this may or may not have been the right decision. And she kind of snipes at him a little bit and was like, well, this one wasn't your fault or something. And I don't love that. Like, I feel like she should be a little bit more understanding that he just went through hell while she was gallivanting on other universes. But at the same time, it also feels very true to their characters and their personalities that he's a little bit more brooding, a little bit more internal, and that this is not going to be resolved as easily as just, we're back together, we made out, everything's happy joy again. So I am appreciating that. I think that that is being done well, even though it kind of breaks my heart and kind of makes me want to just thump Bryce on the head a little bit, because I'm like, girl, you haven't been through all of this. Like, you haven't been here. You haven't seen what they've been through. You're kind of looking at it on the aftermath when everyone is healed and everyone's back together and things are okay. But like, you weren't here when Lydia was having to pretend to be the Hind. You weren't here when Rune had to have his hand chewed off. You weren't here when Hunt had his wings cut off. So like, I feel like she's just not really able, like, she's heard it all, but I feel like she's just not able to process it. And I'm curious what's going to happen when they finally sit down and have that conversation, and Hunt, I have a feeling, is going to go off on her and basically be like, you weren't here. And why weren't you here, kind of thing. So I'm curious to see how all of that is going to play out, if it even is going to play out, but I assume that it will at some point. Okay, so we just had a really sweet moment. Finally, we had a sweet moment. Bryce and Hunt. I love, love, love the moment that they just had. I mean, obviously, it was a sexy time moment, but basically when their powers come together and light and love, and they were made for one another, and oh, it was just so good and so sweet. And finally, we are starting to get a little bit of romantasy, because honestly, like, I love the fantasy and I love the world building, but I missed them together. I missed the moments where they're just like bantering back and forth and having snipey remarks. Like, it's one thing that I live for in fantasy romance, and I missed it, and we're starting to get a little bit of that back, and I just, oh, so good, so good. So life stuff has been getting in the way, and it is taking me a lot longer to read this book than I wanted it to, but I have continued on with House of Flame and Shadow, and we are at the part where Bryce and Hunt have gone through into basically a way to talk to the princes of hell. And I am just not loving this part. For one, you drop the bomb the Hunt maybe made on us, and then you don't tell us anything about it, and Bryce and Hunt don't really seem bothered by it. Like, they haven't circled back to it, and that seems like a huge freaking deal, and we've just kind of ignored it in place of them info dumping all of this information. And I am not a fan of when books go to a place just to get a bunch of information word vomited at them and then they leave. It just, it's lazy world building in my opinion. I really want there to be more of a purpose. Like if she's gonna go to these caves or these princes, please tell me that there's going to be more to this other than them just giving her more information so that she can go do something else and go learn something else. And I feel like that's happening a lot in this book, where we are literally just traveling to places to meet up with somebody long enough for them to give you a piece of information that you need and then immediately leaving. And I don't love that. And I've never loved that. And so it's bothering me a little bit, and I think it's causing my pace to be a lot slower because I feel like there's just so many of those moments. And I don't remember that really being the case in the first book. It seems like the first book was very like go 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 action packed, and then the second book was way slower and way more character focused, and then this one has been just a lot of info dumping about the world and the lore. And I'm like, I really wish that we had taken pieces from all three and kind of shoved them together and then split out the trilogy, because they feel not separate. They're still a very cohesive story. I don't know how to articulate my feelings, but I am a little bit frustrated by that. I think that's part of the reason that I'm going so much slower. It's not that I'm not enjoying the book. That I think is going to keep it from being a 5-star, which just hurts me a little bit, but I'm annoyed by it. Either way, I do think that the world is really cool. I do think that what we're learning in this moment is important. Bryce has to go get the third set of power from Thea, and I'm excited to see how that all shakes out. But I really want to know what they meant by Hunt being made. I'm going to need them to circle back to that quickly. Okay, so I have moved to the bedroom to read a little bit more of House of Flame and Shadow. We finally got the maid conversation for Hunt and kind of what all that meant. Honestly, I felt that was a little bit anticlimactic. I was expecting there to be more to it than that. Basically, he just had some stuff in him from the Princes of Hell, and then he still has a mom and a dad and all that fun stuff. So it was like they put seeds of power in him, but he wasn't truly made in the way that I was expecting the maid to be. I thought more like an artificial type thing. So it was a little anticlimactic, and you know, he was like processing for a second, and then Bryce said something and then he was over it. So it was just kind of like a really quick encounter, a really quick thing. It makes sense as to how he has the lightning and why all of that and all, I don't know. It just seemed like an excuse to make them be together that wasn't really necessary, but we'll see. Maybe it'll make more, more sense and have more importance later in the book. I don't know. But during that same scene, they talk about being intergalactic saviors, where basically I think there are 7 of them, but there are only 3 that are available because the other 4 are off in other worlds doing other things. And I just wondered, like, which one of them is in Throne of Glass and what are they doing there? Because it's been a long time since I read Throne of Glass. I've actually considered rereading at least the first book. I don't know if I'm going to continue past the first book, but I wonder if I like reread it, would I be able to tell what were Crescent City bits? Like, has she been planning it out that long? I haven't seen any of the like red string, going back and forth trying to decide where things came from videos. So I'm sure somebody has plotted that out, but I'm just like, would I catch it? I don't know, but I think it would be fun. Anyway, I need to read a little bit more. I'm nice and cozy now. Sorry if there is bad lighting, but I just needed to come lay in bed and read. Okay, but I really shouldn't get so much pleasure in the Autumn King dying, but just when you hate a character and they are just the worst. I think the only one worse than him might be the Avalon King, or however you say that, but I was rooting for Rune to just off with his head. Off with his head, and he followed through, and he came through, and I don't know how that's going to affect him because he did kill his dad, but he needed to go. He was the worst, and I was like, yes, yes. Okay, I'm on page 566, which is not very far from when I last updated you, but when I tell you I whooped, woo! Sometimes you just gotta be excited about something. Basically, King of the Alvalan, or however you say his name, what is that guy's name? Morven. I don't even know his name because I hate him so much. The misogynistic asshole, off with his head. Bryce basically says that she is the queen of the Valabaran Fae. So basically, we've got a lot of references to Bryce being queen. We'll come back. We'll circle back to that. But he told her that she would never be the queen of Avalon. I've been saying that wrong this whole time. But basically, she said, for the moment, I'm queen, I'm judge, jury, and I'm your motherfucking executioner. Yes, girl. Yes. Literally whooped. I was thrilled. That's all I had to say. So I said I would circle back to the queen stuff. We've definitely got a lot of queen mentions now. I, again, expected that to be done a little bit differently than she's just suddenly becoming queen of everything. I expected that to be more like the moment she truly became queen was when they conquered the Asteri, and it was like this big deal, but honestly, it's just happening now. And I guess killing the Autumn King did make her queen of that Fae, and killing Morvern did make her queen of Avalon. So I get that now she is truly queen, but I don't know, it just didn't feel the moment as much as I expected to feel the moment. I don't know why, but it didn't hit me in the feels as much as I thought it would. However, I am Team Bryce, I am Team Girl Power, I am glad that she is queen and those assholes are dead. But we have a mom moment. I loved the mom moment. She was like, what have you been doing? What are you doing with yourself? Which is exactly what my mother would say if I was in this situation. She'd be like, what are you thinking? But also, hi, and I love you. I loved the mom moment. I also love that she's back with Juniper and Fury. I was wondering what happened to them because really there's been zero mention of them throughout this entire book until now. And I was like, where are they? I mean, they were the best friends, and I know that they're mad at her, but like, where are the besties? Where are the friends? And the besties are back, and I think all is right with the besties, so I am so here for it. All right, so I am determined I'm going to be finishing Crescent City today, if it is the last thing I do. It is 1:30, I don't have that much time to read it, but I am determined that I'm going to finish it today. Okay, so like, I feel so bad for Ethan. He literally cannot catch a break. No matter what he does, he is just, he is ripped to pieces. He's trying to do the right thing, and poor Ethan. That's all I have to say. Just poor Ethan. But wait, 2 seconds later, go Ethan. Oh my gosh, like, that's insane. I'm starting to wonder if like literally everybody in this book is going to get some kind of serious level up, because they are all just like, I have power, I'm super badass. Ooh, let me just up it a notch and up it a notch and up it a notch. Ethan becoming prime, like, I saw that coming. I think I told you guys that there had to be some reason that Sigrid, like, he would kill her and that would like circle back around. I honestly thought he would end up being alpha though. I didn't think he would end up being prime, so that surprised me, but go Ethan. Okay, but like, I was glad that Therian was finally going to just stop joking all the time and really like explode and tell us how he feels. And I was glad that he did that to the River Queen, but then he immediately just does the take backsies and says that he is going to leave his wife for the River Queen's daughter. That makes me so mad. Like, you married her, and I know that it wasn't supposed to be permanent, and I know you always planned, but like, she's standing right there supporting you, and you're gonna go say that. And then it just made me mad that that was what ended up being the thing that the River Queen was like, sure, that's gonna make me give you my armies. What the heck? That was messed up. I didn't like that. Okay, and another thing, we were just told that once upon a time, Ethan's people were not known as shifters, which makes me assume that they are indeed part of the Throne of Glass world, because the Throne of Glass world is Fae, but shifters kind of. So I definitely think that that's going to be the case, but I'm really gonna need a lot more information on this ice power thing, because how did Ethan end up using that to almost kill the Under King? And I just don't understand exactly how that works. And then Hypaxia just comes in and is like, I mean, literally everyone is getting a power up. Everyone. But also, I'm glad. I only have one thing to say. I love Jessica's sass. Like, I live for her sass, and that is all. This moment between the two of them just makes my heart melt. Just Hunt and just Bryce. Home. He was home. Wherever Hunt was, that was where home was. She would find him across galaxies if need be. This is the kind of romantasy that I love that Sarah J. Maas writes. It just really is heartwarming while also gutting you all at the same time. And I've kind of missed that in this book. I felt like it was lacking a little bit. So it's so nice to see these moments, because like, it just makes me want to like kick my feet. I love it so much. Okay, so question. Why was it so easy for Bryce to take off the mask than it was Nesta? Because I distinctly remember in the beginning, and even in ACOTAR, that Nesta had a really hard time getting the mask off. The power just was so alluring that she never wanted to remove it. And I remember them having to like basically talk her into taking it off. But Bryce just summons the army and then immediately whips it off and is happy, fine, not really needing any coaxing for that. So I'm like, why was it so much easier for Bryce? Was that just like something that we just didn't talk about? Like, I don't really understand why it was so much easier for her. Rune, you don't mess with the mama and her kids. Why? Like, I don't love the chauvinistic thing. He needs to cool his jets and let her go save her kids. Like, she's just about as deadly or deadlier than you are, and you're gonna play the whole knight in shining armor, you're too weak to go down there, you're gonna get yourself killed thing? I don't think so. I found the perfect spot for an emotional damage tab. Ugh, I take back sees what I said about Rune a minute ago, because like these two, dare I say that I've liked them more than Hunt and Bryce in this book, because like he's gonna give himself up. He's gonna give himself up to Pollux for Lydia, and he tells her, I love you. I fell in love with you in the depths of my soul, and it's my soul that will find yours again in the next life. Rip my heart out, why don't you? Like, 100%. Gotta put an emotional damage tab there. Like, ugh. Okay. Let's do this last 60 pages. So I just got to chapter 98, and we have kind of done the big bad. We have gone and done the big thing and opened a black hole in Midgard. And I'm trying to like wrap my brain around how all of that works. I don't know if I'm the only one that was a little bit confused by that, but I'm just trying to figure out, okay, how did the black hole be a kill switch to open another black hole to kill the Asteri? There were a lot of words and it didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. I guess it doesn't really matter, like the end game is the same, but I wish that it had been a little bit clearer what Bryce was doing and how she was doing it and like what was going on. I know it's a big climactic moment, but I don't know. I just wish I understood it a little bit better. But probably for these next like 50 pages, I don't know that I will update you guys until the end, because I feel like all of Sarah J. Maas's books in the last like 70 pages go hard and go fast, and I'm probably just going to binge them really quick. I have done it. I have slayed the beast that is House of Flame and Shadow. I am done. I am done. Time to collect thoughts. What do I think? What is my final impressions on this book? Oh my goodness. Okay, so last like 70-ish pages, a lot of fun in true Sarah J. Maas fashion. We definitely had some reveals, some sweet moments, just kind of the wrapping up of everything. And I will circle back to that because I think that that's going to be an important thing to talk about here in a second. But my overall review of this book is I had a great time with it. I think I'm going to end up giving it a 4-star though. It's not the 5-star that I was hoping it would be, mostly because of some of the pacing issues that we have already talked about. I felt like there was a lot of, we're going to go do this and talk to somebody for a minute and then big action scene. And then do this and talk to somebody for a minute and get some more information and then that big action scene. And so for a while, the pacing kind of fluctuated for me. That definitely got better the further into the book that we got. But I had a little bit of issues with that. I still definitely noticed a lot of the conveniences. Things seemed to be happening very easily and very quickly when they needed to. And it was noticeable to me. The basically going places for information and just being kind of word vomited everything. Those were not my favorite things. However, I still think that this world is so cool, and I think that what she was able to do and accomplish with this book was a lot of fun. There were moments where I was gasping, where I was crying, where I was screaming, where I was kicking, all of the things and all of the feels. Sarah J. Maas just does that better than no one else can. And so definitely in that aspect, this was just so much fun, and I really, really enjoyed it. I think that as far as the like big plot shocker that was in House of Sky and Breath, I think that it wasn't really necessary in this. I'm kind of surprised that we really had that, because I felt like it just was there for one purpose, well, 2 purposes. One, just to kind of say that the worlds are connected and like make it official, and 2, to get them the death mask. And I feel like that probably could have been done in a different way than bringing those characters forward. And so it wasn't my favorite thing. I could have definitely done without it, but I'm excited to see what she can do in the future, but I am a little bit concerned for what it means for her other series, but we'll see. I am cautiously optimistic on that. Either way, I had a lot of fun with this. I'm curious to see how the next book goes. I always assumed that Crescent City was a 4-part book, that it was just, or a 4-part series where there were going to be 4 books, based off of all of or named after all of the houses, and it was going to be one big story arc. But it seems like from the way that this ended, it's definitely going to follow more of an ACOTAR pattern, where we had the first three, the trilogy that was like this big arc, and then the next book in the trilogy, or the next book in the series, is not going to follow that same arc as directly. I don't know if it's going to follow a different character or not. It almost seems like it would, but we'll see. Overall, like I said, I had a lot of fun. I wish there had been a little bit more romantasy in this. This is definitely a very fantasy-based book. There was not a lot of romance in this. There was some for sure, but it's definitely fantasy forward. So I think those are all of my thoughts. I think that that's everything. I feel like I was kind of all over the place rambly, but I literally just finished this and wanted to give you guys my immediate, I finished this book, this is what I thought impressions. So I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. I would love to know down in the comments below what you thought of House of Flame and Shadow, and did you like it? Were you disappointed? Did it live up to your hype? What did you think about it? I really, really want to know. As always, links to my Patreon, Instagram, Twitter, and Goodreads are down in the description box below. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!